How we doing? It's Matt O'Neill reporting to you from beautiful southeast Nebraska on the Coastal Collision Podcast, where World Star meets NPR and California meets Florida in a Midwest showdown. We're talking about what's going on out there in this beautiful United States and around the world, giving you some background to get you through your daily grind. I'm with my co-host and my now ex-teammate, D-Trill, a.k.a. Tom Cruise's cousin, Dylan Williams. Dylan, how was your weekend, bud?
I was pretty good. My buddy Cardo down at the 6th Street Barbershop hooked me up with a pretty good haircut, as you can see.
Yeah, it looks great, man.
Thanks. And he kind of did the beard really nice too. Shaved it off. Not really sure why I did that, but it was a great weekend. Watched the Grammys a little bit. We'll talk about that later, of course.
Nice. And we have special guest also here, Nolan Gloe, joining the podcast for the first time. Nolan, how was your weekend?
It was great. Just a normal weekend in the Rue, Not a lot going.
Nice, man.
But,
nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we like to hear. My weekend was a little interesting. I hung out with my roommate Krotner on Friday. Got pretty tanked. We split half a bottle of Barton's, and I ended up throwing a burning pallet onto a roof. So it was a pretty cool weekend. Glad no one got hurt or injured, but it was a good weekend. Moving on, recently Barstool Sports put out some game film on Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau going in for the infamous DJT handshake. Trudeau showed sheer poise and honestly great defensive hand skills in this scenario. What do you think was going through Trump's head as he was stunned with this stiff arm?
Oh my goodness, dude. He probably felt so just attacked right there. Like Canada just declared war on him. I'm honestly surprised he didn't go on the 2 a.m. tweet storm about Trudeau's handshake.
Always, man. I mean, there's always the tweet storm that follows any
random event.
Yeah, any sort of bump in the road is followed by a tweet storm.
The Bachelor voted off the wrong guy. No, 2 a.m. tweet storm.
Honestly, I think he was just stunned. I think he was trying to pull him in for that grab and pull.
I feel like Justin Trudeau did his research too, though. He watched the Scout film of the Japanese Prime Minister.
Yeah.
A couple other handshakes that Trump's done recently.
Shinzo Abe, yeah.
Absolutely. He's just like, I got to make sure I go for the kill shot first. Can't let him get to me.
It's so weird because there is that video of him shaking hands with Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe.
And it lasted like 2 hours.
Oh my God, he was
long.
and at the end of it, he was just yanking on
Absolutely.
that arm.
That guy's hand.
Dude was like super visibly uncomfortable.
Absolutely. I know President Trump is kind of sensitive about his hand size, and you can tell that he was definitely lashing out about his hands.
Well, he was going for that old man grip.
Absolutely.
I mean, straight up. And I mean, do you think our ties with Japan are even half as tight as that handshake?
Absolutely. Japan's like a little mini Asian U.S.,
Japan's dope, dude.
Japan's awesome.
Japan is pretty sick.
I would love to go to Japan one day.
Oh my God, it was so funny. I was just talking about that with Krotner, my roommate. And we were like, yeah, no, we'd hit Japan pretty hard because
Japan's nice, man.
I mean, you got panties and vending machines, and you got some weird food, and that's
sushi.
Gonna be a good time.
You can't forget sushi.
Sushi's the shit.
We went to Disney World for our family Christmas vacation this year. And one of the nights we were there, we stopped at this Japanese restaurant in Epcot, and they had the best sushi I've ever had in my entire life. They had California rolls, firecracker rolls, other rolls. I'm not a sushi aficionado, but they were delicious, honestly. So
that's crazy, dude. My favorite sushi place probably has to be back home. I would say Chocho-san. It's a place right on Thousand Oaks Boulevard in Thousand Oaks, California, and it's just really fresh, and every time I go there, it's a good experience. But keeping it moving, back to the Trump handshake. We've seen shirtless photos of our buddy Big Daddy Vlad Putin, and the dude is straight stacked. All right, the dude is out here riding horses shirtless.
He's huge, man.
Dude is straight jacked out of his mind. Who is winning a wrestling match between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump, and why are they winning that wrestling match, that arm wrestling match?
Honestly, that's a much tougher decision than you would think it would be. Most people would pick Putin just in a heartbeat because he's yoked and he was ex-KGB, so he's probably good at killing people with his fingers or something. But no, actually, I might take Trump in that.
Dude, yes, dude. Yes.
Honestly, just look at his handshakes. Look how strong,
I'm pulling
how much upper body strength he has.
100% American muscle.
Absolutely.
Over that Russian garbage, man. I'm thinking old man strength takes down Putin 9 out of 10 times, no question about it.
I feel like he uses Alex Jones sponsored vitality supplements too,
Ooh.
which are just perfect for our next segment.
A
Actually,
fitting segue, D-Trill, about Alex Jones, who has been out there wilding in the media lately. He was recently quoted telling J-Lo that if she went to Somalia, she would be, and I quote, gang raped in 5 minutes, unquote. Now, surely it's an eye-grabbing statement made for attention, but D-Trill, do you think Alex Jones is a legitimate source for news?
Well, I'm going to go on record and say that Alex Jones and InfoWars are the only source you can trust for news. That's not true at all, actually. That is a place that if you watch them, they'll make one good point out of 500 terrible points. So they're legitimately the coast to coast AM of conservative talk radio.
I just love watching his face get all red.
Oh, I know. He's just so angry.
Oh my god, he just screams, he yells. It's
for no
so
reason.
Funny. Like he's a human being like all of us.
Yeah.
And he's gonna make mistakes. He's gonna say obscene things. But it's like every time he's on the radio, it's something confusing
bizarre.
is coming out of his mouth, man.
I was watching his show yesterday, and he had an ad for his iodine drops that he was talking about. And this anybody who knows anything about this will make you laugh. But he was going on the record saying that taking iodine drops is more important than taking vitamin C in your diet, which is not true at all, because taking too much iodine will kill you.
That is,
man,
that is, how about just, like, wishing something was true and then just telling it as if it was facts? Like,
absolutely.
That's, like, my favorite
They're
thing
alternative facts
in the world. So Alex Jones, I mean, I wouldn't really consider him a news source. I would more consider him
entertainment.
A stirrer of shit,
yes.
if you will. Someone who gets in there and just kind of likes to rile up the establishment.
To me, he's like a Texas version of Milo, just saying ridiculous things for attention, just to rile up the other side.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. And what do you think is important when you search for a news source that you want to find that is legitimate and can supply you with maybe slightly biased or non-biased opinions of news?
I think the biggest thing to keep in mind when you're researching anything political would be that you have to keep in mind that what the other person's writing about may not necessarily be your own views. Like, I love watching Fox News and then watching CNN about the same story just to make sure that I get both kind of spectrums.
Checks out, balances.
Yeah, then I can kind of form my own opinion based off of their two viewpoints.
And that's like seeing articles from the Conservative Tribune or the Wall Street Post as a left counterpart is kind of, you got to keep in mind who's writing the article because they are pushing an agenda, whether you want to admit it or not. They are pushing for a point to come across that will make you agree with them. So I think what's important is to ingest news from wherever you feel is comfortable, and then go ahead and do further research into whatever news that you ingest, and make sure that it's not only reputable, but I mean just a valid claim in general. I think it's super important.
Yeah, I don't know. That kind of goes back to our former teammate Eric Morrison Smith. He's been posting some good things on social media lately. Me and him had a conversation earlier about understanding, like, both sides need to do a much better job at understanding each other's points of view.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason why we can't still disagree on a subject, but have healthy dialogue on ways to improve that problem. Because we might look at a problem like Chicago, for example, and have two completely opposite views. But as long as we both know where we're coming from, we can make progress.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with having a simple discussion and not agreeing on something, but respecting each other's points
Absolutely.
and having that discussion and making your knowledge of the subject a little more broad and maybe understanding where someone else comes from. But we're going to move a little away from politics here and go straight over to a debate that has been raging for a long, long time. For the most part, a pretty one-sided debate. But Dylan, you say Hulu, and Nolan can jump in on this too, because they both came up to me and told me that they prefer Hulu over Netflix.
Yeah.
Now, boys, defend yourselves. Why is Hulu the superior streaming site?
I gotta go with. I love TV, and you know what? If you love TV, Hulu's where it's at. You're
Absolutely.
not gonna get great movies, but if you're all on board with great TV, up to date TV that's on television right now, you missed an episode. Hulu's where you find it. So
Yeah, I kind of have to jump on that. Hulu's actually added some really good movies. Just very low key though.
Okay.
Like the entire Indiana Jones series is on Hulu now, which those are some of my favorite movies ever.
Those are
I
good-
think
those
the
are good
James
movies.
Bond movies are all on there.
Yeah.
Which I don't know, they're kind of hard to follow sometimes, but it's hot women.
How dare you?
Hot women.
dare you?
Cool stuff. Guy killing people.
It's a classic.
It's amazing. Let's see what else. What? I mean, there's so many great things on there. There's old cartoons like from when we were growing. Hey Arnold's on there. Jimmy Neutron, my favorite show ever.
That is
on
a
there.
great show. Love that. Love Sheen. Love Carl.
Yeah.
Cheese enthusiast. Love it.
Llama enthusiast. Llama aficionado, I should say. But Hulu is just, it's on the come up.
Carl Weezer.
It's,
What a character.
absolutely. Yeah.
I think what does it for me is the fact that Netflix original series are just so fucking good.
Oh,
they're
they're
just
great.
they're like
I will
truly
agree with that,
superior to anything that we're kind of seeing on basic cable right now or during daytime dramas. It's just refreshing and it's good writing and it's great production and the original
Absolutely.
series are just flawless. But you did mention that Hulu doesn't have that variety of movies. Do you think Netflix has that much better movies than Hulu, honestly?
Not really. No, because I like a lot of the same things that I can get on Netflix are also on Hulu, movie wise, anyways. The only things I can really think of that I'd be interested in watching are some of the original movies, and then also B movie, which Seinfeld fan classic.
Yes, dude. That was the next point, man. Seinfeld is to me, it's the greatest show that has ever hit basic cable.
I think it's Always
for
Sunny is
me.
better, but
Ooh, Always Sunny is super fucking funny.
did you see Matt came out of the closet finally?
No, he
Yeah,
didn't.
yep.
Oh
Matt
my
finally
god.
came out of the closet. I know.
Good for him.
It's been hinted at for 12 years now.
I mean,
I'm
at
just glad
first
they
it was
finally-
the tranny.
Yeah.
I mean, getting clawed up and down. People thinking he's a murderer, but he's really just dating the tranny. But man,
oiling up dudes for bodybuilding competitions.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
just hiding
it was
hiding
just-
that suppressed.
And then,
signs were
do you
there.
remember
The
do you remember
signs
the
were-
episode where he had his cousin Country Mac?
Yes, dude.
And he was like everything Mac was, but like actually doing that. Like,
yeah,
he
dude.
was-
Sean William Scott.
Yes,
Dude, that was
fantastic
brilliant.
role in that episode.
That was brilliant.
I think it's about time though, because they've been hinting at it for so long. It was just like, yeah, everybody knows by now. Let's make it official.
Everyone knows, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Always Sunny is a classic, but to me, it's just got to be Seinfeld, man. Larry David,
I'm only
the writing,
3 seasons in
the
right
jokes.
now, so,
What?
yeah.
Oh man, you got to
I just
finish
started
that,
2 weeks
bro.
ago.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. No. Well, we all have lives we have to attend to. We can't be just surfing Hulu the entire day. But moving on to more kind of the pop culture side of this side of the pod. The Grammys, which I personally side with the likes of Jay Biebs and Frank Ocean. I really don't think the Grammys necessarily are, an accurate scope of the best music of the year. I feel like it's kind of a popularity show, and I think it has a lot to do with, the money involved in it.
Absolutely, yeah.
But what the fuck was CeeLo Green wearing at the Grammys? Like, I don't understand. What he was head to toe, straight gold, homie. Straight gold.
I'd like to think he was auditioning for the new Power Rangers movie, maybe the sequel for it. Because, honest to God, the second I saw pictures of CeeLo Green, I thought he was a Power Rangers fan.
Yeah.
Like, he just looked evil, but not, like, scary evil, like kind of just like, haha, he's evil. Ah!
Yeah, exactly.
Not really that big of a threat, but
like the dude is like 5'2". Like he is not very tall.
He's definitely a little person.
He is. Well, he has to be. Like he has to be.
It's kind of stubbly.
Well, he's got the complex too, and I don't know. He just doesn't. There's just something about him that just really weirds me out. Do you think CeeLo Green is even relevant, really, in today's music scene?
No, not at all.
I mean, he
was the host.
Come out
He was
with
like the host of
song.
The Voice. That was about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean, he hasn't come out with a song
since like Forget You.
Years.
We were in high school the last time he put out a song.
Yeah, which
like
is
underclassmen in high school too.
No, it was like definitely like sophomore year of high school the last time he put out a record, which is ridiculous.
That was like 6 years ago. Wow.
But an up point of the Grammys, I will say this, is Chance the Rapper winning New Artist of the Year. Now, he didn't sell a single fucking track. Nothing. Mm-hmm. He didn't sell anything. He put out mixtapes.
Self-promoted,
Yeah. Is he the most polarizing and revolutionary figure in music right now?
I would say he is definitely the most revolutionary musical figure since Nirvana. Which might be a bold statement to some and kind of maybe ridiculous to others. But he, for one, he's not selling any music. Who's ever done that? Who has risen to that much popularity without selling a single album?
Nobody.
Ever.
That's never been done.
He has taken the stereotype of being a SoundCloud rapper and just completely spun it upside down. There's so many of those quote unquote SoundCloud rappers now who are starting to come up. Like A Boogie dropped a track with Kodak Black 2 days ago.
Yeah,
it's a good song.
Kodak Black with that new music video of Cash Me Outside Girl.
Yeah, that's weird.
Well, we need to stop. We need to stop giving her attention.
She needs help.
Yeah, dude.
She's 13, and I hate to say it, but she's from my home state of Florida.
Hey.
Seeing people like that, not uncommon. Not uncommon at all. But that's the price we pay for living in the Sunshine State.
That is. Sometimes you get a little weirdos. I get my fair share of weirdos out west.
We get Ohio's trash down in Florida. So I'm willing to bet that she has family in Ohio.
Bold. So boys, in your opinion, what is the best album of 2016? What when you hear that album, what makes you go like, all right, this was by far, the best project that was dropped in that entire period of time?
I'm gonna have to go with The Life of Pablo by Kanye West.
That's a great pick.
It was kind of a toss up between Views from the Six by Drake and The Life of Pablo, but
Life of Pablo
is on my playlist every day.
Yeah,
that's a great album.
Yeah.
I don't think it gets the respect it deserves from music critics and other Kanye fans, but I think it's right up there with Graduation and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
I agree. I mean, it's one of those projects where you listen from track one
absolutely
to the last track, and you don't skip any song. There's no. I mean, there are a few songs that are stand out, but there's no song that I would put in the weak category or that I would put in like the trash category. Every song off that tape is brilliant.
You could say that with almost all of Kanye's albums, though. They kind of tell a story from beginning to end.
Yeah.
About something. I mean, you're not really sure what he's telling, but he's telling a story, though.
Yeah.
Like I kind of got the vibe that he was like almost self-aware of how like cocky people think he is.
Yeah.
And that he was like not necessarily like repentant of it, but he was like kind of like mocking somebody who would be repentant of. It's complex mind of a genius, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. No, and I would have to probably say, honestly, Coloring Book. I mean, Chance just coming on and dropping that mixtape on Apple Music. Song like literally the soundtrack of the summer of 2016 for me had to be Chance the Rapper and a lot of independent artists that I kind of just
definitely put him on the map.
Yeah.
So.
No, I would definitely say that was like his most popular project as of yet. I mean, right in front of Acid Rap. For the most part, his breakout project. What did you think, Noel?
Absolutely. Life of Pablo, great album. Coloring Book, great album. Also, J. Cole's For You Guys Only, great album. But I'm gonna go outside the box a little bit and say Travis Scott, Birds in the Trap Singing Tonight.
Okay.
He's a little biased on that one. He's by far my favorite rapper. The futuristic sounds that he's coming out with, the new trap, You know, he's on the up and up. He works with, he's really close with Kanye West.
Yeah.
And you know, Chance is working with Kanye.
I believe
a little bit.
they're all on Good Music, right?
Yeah,
the same record.
I thought Chance wasn't on any label.
No, Chance isn't on the same. Travis Scott and
Okay,
Kanye
yeah.
West are both on.
I was about to say, I know
both on
Chance
Good
collaborates with both of them a lot,
Yeah,
but I don't
Chance
think
is
he was on the same.
strictly independent.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think he'll be picking a label at any point.
I have so much respect for that too.
Oh, it's
Absolutely.
it's incredible. Like
He
we
doesn't
said.
owe anybody anything besides his fans.
No.
And even then,
No,
he doesn't owe
and he
them.
puts out music
So.
because it's
What
good
he
music.
feels, yeah.
It's good music,
Yeah.
honestly. It's one of the only rappers in today's age that doesn't use, synthetic sound where he's, he has Donnie Trumpet in the studio. He has live drum kit. He has, a live guitar. It's one of those really a breath of fresh air
Absolutely.
for the music industry. And I just want to just reiterate that. Man, I'm glad that he won Best New Artist of the Year. Moving on to more sports-related stuff, Jerry Sandusky's son, Jeffrey Sandusky, was in the news earlier this week for allegedly soliciting sex from someone under the age of 16 and soliciting child pornography. As we all know, Jerry Sandusky, his dad, was arrested as the main character in the predatory sexual assaults at Penn State. Now, I'm kind of speechless at this whole thing, the whole family dynamic. Obviously, mental illness running in the family. What's your thoughts on this?
It's honestly just a terrible situation. First of all, my heart goes out to the victims in this.
Absolutely,
yeah. It's just so ironic that he, for all those years after his dad got arrested, just pleaded that his dad did nothing wrong. He said he has boundary issues, but he never did anything wrong. And
it may have been just kind of the toxic household that he grew up in. Obviously, the son probably knew of something.
I wouldn't be surprised if he, his adopted brother Matt Sandusky, I think Mark or Matt Sandusky, whatever it was, he was one of the first victims that came out and said that Jerry Sandusky abused him. And it's just absolutely tragic thinking about that now, that possibly his older brother was involved with that too.
It's sickening.
Absolutely.
It's sickening, and it makes you sick. And I studying criminal justice, I get the question a lot of, do you think pedophiles should be eligible for the death penalty? Now, what are your thoughts on that?
Ooh, that's a really tough question, but I'm gonna have to say yeah, I think so. I think it really just depends on the crime though. Not everybody who's labeled as a pedophile, according to the government, is actually a pedophile. Some states, age of consent law, somebody might be 19 and then has consensual sex with a 16 or 17-year-old. But the age of consent might be 18 in that state.
Statutory.
Yeah, and he's a rapist for the rest of his life now, and a sex offender because he had sex with a girl he goes to school with. Yeah. So it's a terrible situation, and I think there's reforms that need to be made. But I think actual child predators, people who go after young children and stuff like that, I think they absolutely deserve to be put down.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a big proponent for the death penalty at all, just because I hate the death penalty. I don't think it works. It's not a deterrent. It costs a ton of money. People are on death row for 25 years. It's just a really ineffective way of dealing with prisoners. So I would have to disagree and just probably say no to the sexual predators to be on death row, just because it's already overcrowded. We already have a problem with it. But it's I understand why someone would be like, all right, I want this dude dead. This dude deserves to be dead, because there are people out there, serial rapists, just absolute horrendous crimes, and they should be detained for the rest of their lives. But I don't think it's our job, to tell someone else that their time on this earth is up. I think that's
I just think that when people do things like that, they no longer deserve our taxpayer money to keep them alive and keep them housed and stuff like that. I feel like we should just get rid of them, honestly, because they are the scum of the earth.
Yeah.
They're right up there with ISIS and people.
Yeah, no,
But,
they're pretty terrible. Yeah, and I mean, there was also news of a woman and her rapist in the news this week teaming up and going on like a speaking tour and speaking to universities. Do you think that that's more of like a publicity stunt, or like do you like I don't understand how you want to be even in the same room as someone who has, violently traumatized you like that?
Honestly, I haven't read anything about that. I saw it and I was just completely bewildered by the headline. That being said, without knowing anything about the case whatsoever, which all rape is bad. First of all,
Yeah.
I should get that out of the way.
For sure.
Second of all, I have no idea. It just seems incredibly bizarre that somebody would ever want to team up with the person who did that to them. I know it would just seem very odd for me that if someone in my family or one of my friends was raped, that they would not only continue to have a relationship with the person who did that to them, but that they would
like go out of their way.
Yeah, go
to,
out of their have
yeah.
a friendship with them
Yeah.
too. It just that's just I can't understand.
No,
that.
it doesn't sit well with me at all.
At
like,
all.
I don't
Like
think.
it bothers me. Like I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
I'm at a loss for words.
It's bewildering.
It's
bewildering. The whole subject.
It's mind-numbing.
Sad. It's sad, and you know what? We're gonna move on from it
Yeah.
because it is kind of a sad shit subject. Now, getting into Nolan's specialty, the reason he wanted to come on the pod so bad is to discuss the affairs of the ever-changing and ever-evolving NBA. Now, Nolan, you've expressed displeasure with the recent formations of super teams. How has this affected the league as a whole? Like, how has it made the league less competitive? Are teams struggling to kind of keep up with the constant movement of players?
Absolutely. In the past, there's been, going into the season, there's 8, 10, even maybe half the league teams that can compete for a championship. And with the formation of super teams, Kevin Durant joining the Warriors this year, that list has just dwindled down to 2, 3, 4 competitors actual contenders that can play for the championship.
Yeah, no, I feel like every NBA game that I watch, and by no means am I an NBA expert, but whenever I'm watching it, it's always Golden State Warriors, the Spurs, or
Cleveland.
Cleveland are the only three teams that are. I feel like that are competing for a postseason.
Those 3 teams you named are definitely the title favorites at this point. The formation of the super teams just takes away from the playoffs because Golden State, whoever they go up against as the 8 seed, is that 8 seed really gonna, give them a challenge or anything? And at this point, it doesn't look like they will.
Yeah, no, and I think like a big thing is team loyalty. Is a big thing preached here with us. I mean, even at Peru State, is team loyalty is the key to winning a championship. Would you agree with that? I mean, is there as much importance if you're a pro as staying with the same franchise as if you're not getting paid for it?
As an athlete, I've heard the opinion that using the Kevin Durant situation again, he wanted to play for another team. That's not a big deal. He gave OKC, he gave him 9 great years of basketball, and he wanted to move on. And that's what it is. But people that grow up in OKC, they look up to Kevin Durant as a role model, and he just leaves you. He just leaves you for not only a better team, but a better team that beat you after you blew a 3-1 lead based on your performance, and that just stabbed OKC in the back. And
I mean, in essence though, you're changing teams, you're going somewhere else, but at this point, you're a professional athlete. You're doing it for the cash, man.
Yeah.
So you yourself, would you be willing to take a pay cut to stay where you're at? Or would you, like KD, chase that cash, chase that paper?
Actually, I think KD would have made more if he would have stayed in OKC.
For real?
He's chasing the rings, And that's how you see the formation of the super teams is everybody wants a ring, and they're willing to give up that pay bump in order to get it. But to answer your question, I would honestly probably stay with my original franchise if.
Yeah, I mean, in the words of Post Malone, we're chasing money like the ring we never won.
Yeah.
I mean, in essence, I'm glad that we're taking more emphasis out of what they're getting paid and more. I like that athletes are more concerned about doing it for the franchise, more about team over self, getting the ring instead of getting paid, and I think that's actually a really good way to to look at it.
Well, if you think about it too, like these super teams have been going on for a while now. Shaq didn't start off with the Lakers winning 3 rings. He was with the Magic for a very long time. I think 5 or 6 seasons. And then signed with the Lakers in I think 96 or 97.
Oh, it's so fun.
And
so fun to watch that team play.
Shaq and Kobe both, although they hated each other, they absolutely dominated.
Growing up in the early 2000s and watching the Lakers play
Lakers basketball
was
back then
the most exciting thing on the planet.
That was back when the Pacers were still really good too. I remember they played in the finals one year.
Derek Fisher, greatest 3-point shot of all time. Bottom line, dude.
That's a hot
Derek
take. That's
Fisher,
a hot take right there.
Derek Fisher, greatest 3-point shot of all time. Nah, dude. I mean, that was playoff basketball, dude. Derek Fisher drained that shit, dude. It was so much fun to watch that game.
Watching the Lakers throughout the 2000s period was just. I mean, I can't really think of any year in the 2000s when the Lakers just weren't.
I kind of feel like Big Red fans right now. Sorry, Nolan.
Okay.
The whole looking back at the decade of dominance, eating the member berries, so to say, because I get so much joy.
Oh, absolutely.
I get so much joy out of thinking about the Lakers back in their heyday, just like the Huskers in the 90s.
It's great to reminisce about old sport teams and really appreciate the dominance that they had when they played.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
I'm going to go ahead and deliver this hot take before we close, but I think that the Chicago Bulls of the 90s are the most overrated dynasty ever.
Oh, wow. Man, that is a bold statement.
It is.
Wow.
I'm going to say that just because, they have one of the greatest, not only did they have one of the greatest basketball players of all time in Michael Jordan, but they have, possibly the greatest coach of all time in Phil Jackson. But I don't think that the talent level around the league, period, was as good as Jordan. I feel like they just weren't anywhere near up to his abilities.
Damn.
Back then.
Yeah, I mean
Hakeem Olajuwon.
I mean he was a man ahead of his time, and he also had Scottie Pippen.
I feel like he also had a stacked team too.
Yeah,
he had Dennis Rodman, Scottie Pippen, even Steve Kerr. I mean he was probably I think he was probably a role player for the Bulls, but still.
Yeah,
I mean
a good 6-man coming off the bench. That's good stuff. Well, that will about do it for this week. We're going to close the episode with the slap of the week. I'm a huge hip-hop fan along with my dudes in the studio today. I've been slapping some Dizzy Wright this week. Saw a video on Twitter, and it just reminded me of really how talented and frankly, how stoned that man really is. I mean, he's making some great smoking beats. What are you guys bumping this week? Let me know at Matt O'Neill62 on Twitter or Matt O'Neill on Facebook. D-Trill, Gloe, what are y'all slapping this week?
For the most part, for most of this week, I was slapping some the College Dropout. Turned 13 years old last week. But I actually have to go with this new band from Sweden I discovered last night called, I think it's Swamp.
Ooh.
It's SVVAMP. And they kind of have that really old school 60s, 70s Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, Rolling Stones kind of vibe to them.
For sure, dude.
And the best song I've heard by them so far is called Down by the River. And it's honestly some really good bluesy rock.
Fuck yeah, dude.
So
nice. What about you, Gloe? What have you been slapping this week?
Old Kid Cudi,
Oh, yeah.
Pursuit of Happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Just the whole Man on the Moon project, honestly.
Love it. Old Kid Cudi's where it's at.
Gotta be one of my top albums of all time.
I hope he's doing well these days. I haven't heard. I know he's.
He checked into rehab for suicidal thoughts and severe depression and just a pretty overwhelming support from the music community in general, which is good to see and good to hear that people are taking mental illness and depression super seriously, and that's good to hear. But we hope Cutter's doing well.
Absolutely,
we just we hope that he comes back and makes a few bangers.
There we go. Yeah.
All right, excellent stuff, guys. Look forward to coming back next week and killing it. But until then, no matter where you're from, live the dream.